I'm excited to talk a little bit about kind of the unique culture that exists in your district. And some of the uniqueness of your culture is how you even talk to each other and how you address each other in terms of title versus last name versus salutation versus initials and first name. And I'd just love for you to talk a little bit about how people address the leadership team
Mhm.
at the district, and also even at the school level, the school leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. So we really like to refer to our team as a family, and so in that, we are really everybody's on a first name basis, and oftentimes people have nicknames or initials that we call people by, and that's after working together for so long, that's just become very natural to us. Our superintendent and our assistant superintendent both are commonly referred to just by their initials, JB and TC. So we that's just kind of how we talk to each other. I'm typically referred to as CeeLo. That's kind of the nickname that I picked up. But when addressing these people, we're not calling them. It's not Superintendent Brandt.
Yeah.
To us, it's like we're really on a first name basis. Same thing with principals. With our building leaders, it's not Principal Connors. It's Brian or BC. We might do something like that. So it's a casual bond that we've developed after working together for so long, and I think just creating that culture and that safe place for us to be able to have those type of relationships.
Does that happen when outsiders come into your meetings, and how does your community address the leadership team?
Yeah, so it varies. Again, we've got strong relationships with our community, and so some community members that have better relationships might use more of informal salutations there. So, but if not, typically it's a Mr. Brand or Mr. Sobolski. Um, and it also helps that a lot of the leaders in our district, especially in our district office team, they've been building leaders in our district, and so there are some of those relationships that people have established that they maybe had the kids 10 years ago, and they've already got that relationship established, and so it really helps with that rapport and that culture that we've built in our district.
That's fascinating because so many districts that I go to visit, even when there's internal meetings, they call them, superintendent, doctor, last name kind of thing. And I kind of get a sense of what kind of culture that sets
Mhm.
just by hearing everybody address themselves. I feel like there's a more of a separation even in some of the internal meetings where people just, there's that proper stance to things. And as a result, like I feel like it's hard to actually get the real conversations that need to happen sometimes.
Sure.
I'm curious from your perspective, because even in just your internal meetings, because you're able to address each other just like you were friends, or have been working together for a long time. How does that make you feel, and what difference do you feel when you go into situations, other districts or other situations where that's not the case? And how do you feel when you go into a different situation, like you visit other districts or you're talking, and I'm guessing, and it happens to me too. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm so used to calling everybody that by their first name, I don't even know how to
Sure.
start. And
Yeah,
then,
sure.
and then you get into situations where you hear other people talk to each other, and how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I think it's just important trying to pick up like the context and how other districts. And for me, when I hear other districts operate like that, I just kind of wonder how are they internally with their own team, and do they kind of let their guard down a little bit? Are they a little bit more relaxed just with their internal team? or is it something that, this is just how, the relationship is? And granted, some people are like that. Like some people just, they like to have the title, they like the formalities. But, on our team, we don't have anybody who's, pushing that. And it's just kind of the way that we've gelled together.
I think that there's a piece of this where people feel comfortable because everybody else is doing it that way, and they just want to make sure that they feel like they're included in the conversation. Depending on the community, the people in the suits are the bosses of the people that are attending your schools, right? And so when I feel like school leaders are trying to have community meetings, that separation doesn't allow them to feel comfortable and share like what their real needs are, because it probably doesn't happen in the workplace either.
Sure.
And I just wonder if you've noticed any differences in terms of how your district is able to connect or engage with the community just because of more of the casual nature, I'm just going to describe it as that, versus what you've seen other districts do in terms of just the more formality that they use to present themselves.
Being able to relate to your stakeholders, I think, is very important, and being available for those conversations and being approachable. That's one of the things I think is one of the greatest qualities from our superintendent is he's very approachable, and certainly if whether he's in a suit and tie or just wearing an Oakhills polo. I think he's very approachable to any of our stakeholders. And so certainly your appearance and the culture that you have set plays a big part into that. And I would say that the tone that he sets of that approachability trickles down to the rest of our team. And, it is something where I feel like, we're expected to be approachable as well. As a team, we're there to serve the needs of our staff, students, and community. And so we certainly want to be there and have an open dialogue with our community anytime that presents itself.
I definitely noticed that when I came to visit you guys, even just the way you greeted me at the door was, and I didn't feel like I had to go to like 2 layers of security and check-in.
Sure.
And so then I remember the first thing you asked me is if I needed a drink or some coffee, and you showed me around the building.
Sure.
And then we met, the team came in, people introduced themselves, but we didn't have to spend a ton of time going through everyone's title and what they do and everything. And we really got to the work very quickly.
And what I think is really important about that is, and I appreciate you saying those things, Anthony. Everything that you experienced was not for show, I would say. It would not have mattered if you were, doesn't matter who comes into our space. That's kind of the experience that we want people to have. And we want you to be comfortable. You're not going to find a lot of people who have big egos in our organization. You're not going to find a lot of people who are real big on titles in our organization. We genuinely want people to feel comfortable and welcome in our space because ultimately we know that that's going to lead to not only a better relationship, but it's going to lead to a better outcome and a better product of the work being done. And so, what you experienced when you visited us, we were excited to have you and Kelly to come down and to meet with us. We were excited to learn from you and learn with you. And so I think what you experienced was just us trying to make that a very comfortable and inviting space so that it would benefit all of us together during that learning process.
If it wasn't like that, what I know what normally happens is we're not sure how much we can share or how to share things, and so the pace in which we're releasing information to the group is very different, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're so careful about how to drop an idea in because
Sure.
of people's comfort levels or whatever. And so whenever we get that level of engagement from our first interaction, it really helps us understand the tone and nature of how fast we can introduce ideas and how easily we can do things that we might only do with folks after 3 interactions.
Sure. Just creating that psychological safety and having the ability to talk about and focus on the things that we don't always talk about and focus on. And we talk so much about the curriculum, the instruction, and how we get that across to our students, but we don't always talk about how we function as an organization. And so that's something that I've just in my short experience with Data Elements has been very intriguing to me, and I just think is a very important thing to talk about, because once you get that focus on the organization part, once you get that piece right, then everything else, it just makes everything else so much easier. And so certainly, as we continue to partner with you guys and chat with you guys, I see us getting to a better spot of functioning as an organization so that we can go even farther in what we do with our instruction and with our students and our community.